Okay, good evening. We're up to Nun Gimel Amid Beis and the Mishnah. Avodas kechavim shenichuhu Avodah. You have the Avodah Zorah. There was left. They left it. They forsook it. B'shas shalom. If it was a time of peace, they were not on the run. They didn't have to escape anything. I can't believe it's nothing. Right? B'shas shalom. In the time of shalom, mutarais. Then it's muta. B'shas mulchama. B'shas Mulchama Asura. At the time of Mulchama, then it would be Asa. Nothing, you back? Oh, so you're going to be tomorrow night? Okay, it's important to know. Okay, good.
That's why I came back early.
Okay, good. Okay. Anyway, Simcha remind me to call you Chevet. Anyway, so let's say that they escaped because of war. In other words, they ran away because of war. Then it's no raya they were mevatel the avodah zarah. They were just escaping because of the war. Conversely, many nun gimel amid beis. Nun gimel amid beis. Okay. And so if b'shas melchama, that's no raya they were mevatel it. If shas shalom would be a raya they were mevatel it because they would have taken it with them. Bimusiyos shel malachim. We'll see what there was kind of pedestals literally of malachim. They would go ahead and be ma'amid avodah zarah when the king would pass by. So the question is, if it was mishamish and avodah zarah, then why would it be mutter now? In other words, once it's just because you use it temporarily, it loses its shem of mishamish avodah zarah. So the Gemara will address that. Okay, now, Rabbi Yomi bar Rabba, Rav, Beis Nimrod, harihi kavodas kechavim. The base Nimrod, Rashi says the base Nimrod is the Migdal Bavel. Says Rashi, Migdal Shebanu Dor Haflaga, what you know is Migdal Bavel. Avodas kechavim. Nimrod hayim malach aleihim. And Nimrod at the time he was the ruling over them. So that if you ever see that, whatever's left of that, it has a halacha of bittul, and therefore will be mutter to have anah. Afagav dechi badrinu rachmana. Like Kishas Muhammadami, right? Even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu scattered them because of the change in language, and they scattered. So if they scattered, then therefore it should not be. It should be like they left, against their will, and therefore it should be mutter. Says Gemara, they wanted to. They had a chance to come back. I mean, hada betuli batla. So there was bittul.
So never think of it as a base of a desire. The door holds up brother. They're trying to go against Hashem. It's like a machama. You see over here.
Well, there's different opinions of what it was, there's different opinions of what it was that they wanted to shell Zechan Avodah Zarah on top of there. The most unbelievable opinion, guys, is the Yoris Davash. I just popped in my head. The Yoris Davash of Yechon Ibshit says there was a launching pad. And he describes they wanted to go fly up, build something to fly up and fight against Hashem. And he was way before any rockets in the Robert Oppenheimer and anybody else. Amazing. Anyway, b'musiyah shel malachim harielu mutaros. V'chim efnei ma'amidim ha'isah b'shasha malachim oivrim mutarim. But it doesn't make any sense. Just because why they would put it up when the time they would go and they would put an avodah zarah on it. I didn't do Rashi in the Mishnah. Let's go back to the Mishnah. Says Rashi in the Mishnah, Klaimar. They needed to stand it up when the king, that was the parade route for the king. They weren't set up there for permanently, for the time that the king would go pass by. In other words, Pashtas, there would be a road, the king would be on the road, you'd set up the Avodah Zarah, and then they would go ahead and they would serve the Avodah Zarah. And they would serve the Avodah Zarah.
You talking about the buses? You're talking about the Avodah Zarah
itself? The pedestal. The pedestal, right. But it has a din of Mishamash Avodah Zarah, it would be Asa. So if it was used, it's saying, well, it's mutarim. Why is it mutar? If they used it shouldn't be mutar. So that's where's kasha. So I'm a Rabbi Chana, Rabbi Yochanan, Hachi Kamar. Meshemamidim oisan b'shosham malachim oivrim. They would put it up. Umalachim meinichim derech zu v'holach derech cheres. It wasn't used at all. In other words, they would set it up just in case. And if the king didn't use it, then why would it be mutter? But if the king did use it, it would be awesome. Kiyasa Ula, when Ula came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, when Ula came to Eretz Yisrael, Bavel, Yos Abimsa Pegima. They they sat down on a bimsa on a pedestal. That pagim was missing something. It was pagim. It was a blemish in there. In other words, it was like it was gahakt. There was a piece missing from it. He sat down on it. Okay. So Amalei Rav Yehuda Lula, V'harabu Shmuel, Damit Shavayu, Rav Yehuda quoting his Rabbeim, Rav and Shmuel, they both have the opinion, Bimus Shenifkam Asar, a Bimus that's Nifkam is Asar. In other words, the Bimus, if you know there was an Avodah Zorah on it, it's Asar. And even if it's Poigim, it's still Asar. And even according to Madiyama, that you don't serve pieces, Hani Mila by this Kechavim, the Zila Bamilsa, Leniflach the Shvarim. Over here, to serve it, right? If it's missing or something or not. It's not the Ikar Avodah Zorah, so the fact that it's Poigim is not such what? Is not? No, not necessarily. It could be Poigim just missing a piece. It's not missing a piece, but again, you're talking about the mishamish of the avodah. It's not the avodah zarah itself. So Amalei, so Ula said to Rav Yehuda, "Man yovlon me afra de Rav Shmuel umalina einon." Who would give us from the shmutz of Rav and Shmuel and fill my eyes with it? Very interesting. You don't come across this every single day, where he's saying, humbly, Ula's saying, I'm going to argue in Rav and Shmuel, and they're going to throw schmutz in my eyes. Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish Amar Shavayu bimus shenifka muta. A bimus that what was nifka is muta. Vafil man yama oivish shvarim. Even when it says that you would serve pieces, hani mili avayis kechavim. They keep in the polcha zila b'milsa lavatulei. Aval hani shakli who umaisi bimus achrina. Here they take it away and they bring another one. In other words, it's not avodah zarah. Rasha shakli hay bimus me'achash nifkam. Once the bimus was what blemished, v'shadi le'broi, u'maisei achrina. Once it's blemished, they're not going to use it anymore, and they throw it out, and me'melovat it's muta. So very geschmack. I was learning simply this morning. I came across the lashon of what that they should put the Rav and Shmuel right in my eyes. I'm going to argue with them, but the way Ula said before he argued Rav and Shmuel, right? He gave it that humble beginning. So my Rebbe once was arguing a Ketzais and really arguing on a Ketzais, very, very starkly. And he turned to me and he goes, Afilu as ich kumnitz schmutz unter Nagel von Ketzais. Even though I don't count to the schmutz under the nails of the Ketzais, fort it nit gelenkt the pshat. Because ein duck. He said he wasn't a dayak. And then he turned to me and goes, Lezen, ich meinte, help write the plates is. He said to me, "You think I have?" I said, and he told me, he said to me, he goes, "The reason I can argue with the Ketzais is since I'm 4 years old, all I wanted to be was an Adam Gadol." This is the conversation that's going. It's a one-way conversation that just it penetrated very deep, and it hasn't left. It's amazing. Okay, I feel as a kundish to schmutzen to nagel from Ketzais. There's a fort nit gone kapshat. Anyway. So it's muta. You have a brisa that is a right Rabbi Yochanan. You have a brisa that's a right Rabbi Yochanan. Reish Lakish. You want to hear a raya, guys? Bima shenifka muta. In other words, pretty much straightforward. A bima is a pedestal. Shenifka, that's pogam is muta, right? Why is it muta? Because they're gonna throw it away and get another one. Mizbeach shenifkam aser. However, mizbeach that they're makriv on it avodah zarah, that you have to go ahead and break majority of it. So now here you got a problem. You're in place of avodah zarah, guys. You find a possibility that it's a bimis, that's muta. Possibility that it's a mizbeach, it's asa. How would you know? Is there a way of knowing? That's what the Gemara asks. It says Heki dami bimis v'heki dami mizbeach. Look at Rashi. Mino yodoelon hay havi bimus l'moishiv v'hay mizbeach shemakrivin love the nifresh minei. which one that you can use and which one you have to stay away from. So I'm Rav Yaakov Aridi back in the Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan, bimus even achas. A bimus is one even, and mizbeach is avanim harbe. And mizbeach what is more than one. Mizbeach is more than one. Amar Chizkiya says Chizkiya. What's the pasuk? Okay, so what's the pasuk? You need a limud. It's funny that you have a limud for what that mizbeach is. What is the mizbeach is a bunch of stones. So the pasuk says in Yeshaya, right? It says bisumu kol avnei mizbeach ke avnei gir minufatzois lo yakumu asherim b'chamonim. It translates to when he makes all the mizbeachas stones like ground up chalk, then the stones of Asherah and sundials will no longer be brought up. Okay, that's the art scroll taich. Now, what does it mean? First of all, you're going to be poished two things, guys. Guys, look at me. One, that a mizbeach is more than one stone, and two, in order to be mavatalid, it's not enough nifkam. You have to go ahead and break roiv at least. From this pasuk, you're going to hear both things. It's a beautiful top Rashi, guys. Rashi says, top Rashi, Mikra, the Mizbeach have Avanim Harbe 1, Visuru Yachi Notze, it's Rubai 2, right? Rashi tells you that it's two things. So look, it says in the pasuk, guys, what? Besumu kol Avnei Mizbeach. What does Avnei mean? Stones. So you see Mizbeach is stones. And when does it lose its potency? As minu patzos, when it's what? It's ground up, like chalk, when it's ground up. So obviously you lost your roiv, more than one. You lost the whole thing. So memela, that's how you know that mizbeach is more than one stone, and in addition that it's batal b'roiv. So ika ka'avnei gir minufatzois lo yakumun ashreim v'chamanim. If there's avanim that are like ground up chalk, then it will not stand up the asherah and the sundial. Ilav yakumu. However, if it's not ground up like that, then what? Yakumu will go ahead and be established. Ashar and Chamanim, the Avodah Zorah will be intact. Okay, Tana. Now we said, guys, let's go with Nevad. What's Nevad? Guys, Nevad, fellas, you have a carbon that's a Nevad. You can't bring it. You can't bring it. An animal that was served as Avodah Zorah cannot be brought. Now, the first thing that comes to your mind goes, of course you can. It's asabahana. It's not true. It's not true. You're making a mistake. In Vayikra, it says min ha-bakar, from the bakar, right? What does that means? To exclude a nevad. Now, if a nevad was also for a hedyet, you wouldn't need a pasuk by Kodesh to tell me you can't use it. We had this earlier. Yeah. The reason you need a limit to tell me you can't bring is a carbon, because einachinami, you could use it for a barbecue, because you can't asa a balchai. You can't asa a balchai. You could use it for a barbecue. You can't use it for? You can't use it for legavoya. So that's a nevad. So over here, nevad shaloi, a nevad, a person, a balchai, that shaloi, that he bows down to it, and now it's asur, b'shal chaveri muta. But if he bows down to his friends, it's muta. You would say what? Ein adam oisa dava shena shaloi. That would make sense, right? A person can't go ahead what and asa something that doesn't belong to him. Urimini, I'll ask you a stira, meaning I'll show you a person could asa something that doesn't belong to him. I'll ask you a stira. Ezeu nevad. What's a nevad? Kol she'oiv de maisa. You serve it. Bein b'shoigeg, bein b'mezid, bein ba'onis. That's what we need. Whether it's served b'shoigeg or mezid ba'onis or through force, being forced to, bein b'ratzain. Now, hay onis hechidami. What exactly is the serving of a nevad? You're serving it ba'onis. What's the hechatimsa of the case of you serving it ba'onis? Lav kigoin the onas behemoth chaveroi. That what? That someone forced you to bow down to the behemoth of your friend. So what do you see? That you could asa dava shena shaloi, guys. That you could asa dava shena shaloi. That's the stira. One hand you tell me you can't, and the other hand you tell me you could. So Amma Rami Bar Chama says Rami Bar Chama loi kigoin she ansuhu oivdei kichavim v'ishtachavel lebehemasai. That goyim they went ahead. What did they do? They forced you to bow down what? To his own behema. He's bowing down what? To his own animal. But if it was another animal, it won't be asa. Why? Because a person can't asa something that doesn't belong to him. That's the teretz of what of Rami V'Chomer to the stira. Keep the stira in mind, guys. Good. One place it says that what you can't make minevad. Another place it says what you could. Maskul Reb Zera. Oinis Rachmana Patre. Oinis, we know that if I ask you, you wake up in the middle of the night, from the night, well, Nairle Sasadava, right? Because she cried out, she was in the field, and it was Ma'anis, or Nairle Sasadava. So L'chaira, why should you be chayiv? Why should you tell, if a guy is Ma'anis you to go ahead and force you to serve your own animal, you're an Oinis, why should it be what? Why should it be Asa?
That's not the Zorah you heard about Yavor.
What do you mean?
Someone says they're going to force you to.
Okay, hang in there, Dov. You're saying very, very good. Saying excellent. Just change to 8:15 has made a major difference. Says the Gemara. Ella. Ella, okay. He says his tata should make fun of you.
What?
He said he should make fun of you, my tata.
Thank you.
The
The kasha, yeah. Said your tata, very good. Ella Amarava.
You can stay here for a few weeks, man.
Ella Amarava.
No, Tati. Take the broth the other way. The sun's got to go back.
Ella Amarava. Hakol hoyi bechlal leisa avdeim. Leisa stachvulem leisa avdeim. Right? Don't aseres dibis. Stay away. Don't do avodah zarah. Ukeshepar lecha kasev v'chai behem v'leisha yamas behem. Right? When the Torah says you should live with them and not yamas behem, yatsa oinis. Right? Then what? An oinis. You're out. In other words, guys forcing you to go ahead and do an avera. What do you do? V'chai behem. So in other words, first you tell me don't do avodah zarah. Leisa avdeim. Don't. Then you tell me v'chai behem. If someone forces you to do it, so right now an honest is back in. Meaning, if you're honest and you do avodah zarah, you're okay. You're okay. V'had kasar rachmana v'leisischalu Hashem kodshi, and you shouldn't go ahead what and make a chilul Hashem, which is what to go ahead and serve avodah zarah. Dafil ba'ainis, even ba'ainis. So how do you reconcile this? Okay, tzad habitzina, guys. When could you do? Listen to my words, because I want you to say kasha. When could you do avodah zarah by force? That's bitzina when you're private. When can't you do it? Then echil Hashem v'har b'fahesya. Then it's b'fahesya. So now you can go ahead what and answer the stira, right? You can answer the stira. What you had a stira, right? One place you said you in a place of chil Hashem, then honest is asa. If it's not a chil Hashem, then it will be okay. So what's the kasha, guys? It's Yerva Yava, right? Okay, now.
Even Bitsina.
What?
Even Bitsina.
Okay, you might remember that we had a machlokes between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbanon regarding avodah zarah b'tzina or not. Clearly, you know what the Gemara is saying, fellas? The Gemara is saying that, like it's going to Shittas Rabbi Shmuel, b'tzina you could. B'tzina you could. So that, I bring you the Ritva. I sent it out, guys. I'm sorry, Betty, it'll be quick, but I sent it out, the Ritva. Stop talking in the back. Habit sina, habit fahesya. Havade kirabon and kaimalon. We paskin like the chachamim. The bavodah zarah v'gilei aroyos shvichas damim. Afilu bitsina yereg val yavor. Kedisa perikol shah. Freg the Ritva and every other Rishon. What's the shot in the Gemara? The Gemara is saying that bitsina you're able to do avodah zarah. We know bitsina is also yereg val yavor. V'chi k'siv v'chai b'hem. B'shar mitzvahs u'dichsiv. Where does it say v'chai b'hem? All the rest of the mitzvahs. Freg the Ritva the kasha. What's the Gemara talking about? You can't do it b'tzina. It's yereg val yavor. Rabbi Yishmael who did maflik by the Zorah bein sinala for hesya. It's Rabbi Yishmael who argues right bein sinala for hesya. Ukdisa el as we saw before in the Chav Zayin, I think. Perik ein mamidim. V'hodin nokta Rava Rabbi Yishmael. So now he's coming to answer. Why did Rava, who is the Baal Sugya, saying that what the halacha? Why is he going to the Shittas Rabbi Yishmael that b'tzina you could? Lav mishum desvira like Kavase, not because he holds like him. El Ravusa Nakte. It's a chiddush over here. The Afil Rabbi Shmuel Shu Mekel Bedavar Umate Lavoi Bitsina Moidahu de Befrehesia Nevad. The Frehesia Nevad V'Nikra Nevad Nikra V'Asar. It's considered V'Nevad it's Asar. The Kolshken L'Rabbanon the Afil Nevad Bitsina Nikra Nevad. The chiddush is, guys, it's coming from chiddush that even Rabbi Shmuel, who says Bitsina, it's permitted, he would hold B'Frehesya, the animal gets a din of Nevad, which again, because again, Bitsina, guys, it wouldn't be Nevad. It's a bigger Chiddush. Like the Chachamim, Bitsina is Nevad, certainly B'Frehesya is Nevad. The Chiddush is like Rabbi Shmuel. Bitsina, the animal would be Mutta. I feel like him that Bitsina is Mutta, it's coming to teach you, the B'Frehesya, it's for Nevad. So that's why the Gemara. That's the way to read. Learns pshat over here. Very geschmacka. The kasha screams out. You need to ask this kasha. And Baruch Hashem, you did. It says the Gemara Vaita. Amar Rabban l'Rava. Tanya the Messiah lach. I have a brayso that's a raya to you that this chilik between what sin and b'fehesya. B'misuas shalom de kechavim b'shas hagzeira. Now b'shas gezera is guys is an honest. Guys, b'shas hagzeira b'shas hashman is an honest. Afa pisha gezera butler. Oisem b'misusas like butler. Even though what the gezera is butler, oisem b'misusas loy butler. Right? Those b'misusas what we're not butler. Right? Why not butler? Because they had a din of an honest. You see that an honest that's b'fehesha is asa. Says Amalu imishum halay like tasin. It's not a raya. Em yisol no mahavi upalach leberatzim. Rashi says very thin. Guys, look at this Rashi. Says Rashi, loylam oynistikata. No, above that. Shatzer v'heshehu v'onishu, and he says vadayis royal mama. Rashi throws in one word, guys. What? What? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's next one. The one before. Oh yeah, I think maybe I jumped the gun. No, let's say the one before. Shas k'zer v'heshehu v'onishu. Back in the Gemara, I jumped the gun. Elo Ravashi Yama loy tema aim. I don't say maybe. Elo vadayis royal mama. Who? Listen, Rashi. Vadayis Yisrael mama. Upolach leberatzin, and he served the what on purpose. And it says Rashi that Yevsha b'chol oivdim, and all the gezeres that shlayei ben echen mumar acharei sheroya es Yisrael yodam mata noita liboy lavayis kichaf. Now, anytime you have, as is in life, without any people forcing you anything, we have people among us whose Yetzer Hara is very, very strong. They're very strong Yetzer Hara. So let's say Yetzer Hara for Avodah Zarah. But they were too scared to act upon it because they were part of the Jewish people. Then all of a sudden came along with Shas Hashmad, and now already it becomes more what? More prevalent. It becomes more prevalent. So it's not so far-fetched to think that there are people who will willingly go along with this. Not a aim or maybe, but Vadai, says Rashi. It's a Vadai, quoting Rav Ashi. Vadai, they're going to go after it, right? Why? Because it's mutter now. Look, it's mutter now. It's permitted.
Again, what's the case of this? What is that?
That's the platform.
Right.
So even after the Gzeir is over, we're still going to say it's us. There was an Avodah Zarah on it.
Right.
There was,
and you worried that what a Jew.
No, you're not worried. The question is what status does it have after the Gzeir is finished. So you see it's an honor. You see it's an honors because of Pshas Gezerah, and you see that we were improving that honors Pshas Gezerah as a din of Nevad because it's also the bimusus. You good? Okay, great. Kiskia offers a different teretz to the stira. Okay, now above we decided that what, fellas, we decided it can't be a guy being forced to serve somebody else's avodah zarah, so it must be speaking where he was forced to serve his own animal as avodah zarah, and we dashed that it's speaking b'fehesya. That was one teretz. What was wrong with the teretz of forcing a guy to serve somebody else's avodah zarah? Ein adam oiseh davar she'eino shaloi. Chizkiah is going to tell us a chiddush. Chizkiah amar kigoyin shenisach la'avodas kechavim yayin bein karneha. So, guys, shenisech, touch the words. He libated, he poured le'avodas kechavim to a getchka, yayin bein kaneha. So there was this animal that belonged to him, and
The guy?
himself,
Yeah.
and he was forced to go ahead and pour wine to an avodah zarah on his animal. That animal's going to be us. It's his animal. It's not his animal. It's somebody else's animal. So let's see. A side point before we get to his teretz. Maskal Rav Ada Barava. Hay nevadhu habimis ba'almahu. Right? It's a bimis ba'alma, the shavya that he created. Fellas, if you're guys, what's he doing? Listen what he's doing. He's taking wine. He's serving his avodah zarah by pouring it on the animal. Now the animal's not a nevad. He's not serving the animal. He's serving avodah zarah. And he's using the animal as heikatimsa for Avodah Zarah. That's the same as a platform. With the Avodah Zarah is on the platform. It's an ancillary thing. So I need a case of nevad. Nevad oinus is asa. We're looking to fill in the blanks. How do you know nevad oinus is asa? Right? So what are you telling me? If you take an animal, your friend's animal, and you're forced to pour wine to an Avodah Zarah on the animal, that's not nevad. What? So what's the case? Ella Amar Avodah Barava. So what did you do? You serve the avodah zarah, the animal itself. Young men, you took wine and you threw it on the animal itself. Now, so I have adam oisa davashena shaloi, same kasha. You're doing it on your friend's animal. They're forcing you to throw wine on this animal as an avodah zarah itself. How does that help us? The ovid b'maisa, because you did a maisa in the animal. You did a maisa of avodah zarah in the animal. V'chiyada asu'ula Rabbi Yochanan. When Ula showed off from Eretz Yisrael, he said to Rabbi Yochanan, "Afa pish amru hamishtach ve'ele behemis chaveiroi layasra." If someone bows down to the avodah zarah of his friend, it's not asa. Asa b'maisa. If you do a maisa, asra. If you do a maisa, that's going to go ahead and aser it.
Pouring is maisa?
Pouring on it is on the maisa. You might bowing down to it's not a maisa. Here you did a maisa in the animal. You threw right. You threw it on the animal. Rashi says, "Kigan shenisach la she'asa avodas chachavim v'asa b'maisa al v'shtacha ve'barch or avodah acheres la v'gufa le'mitzvah dava she'ena shalai." You can asa. So mamish the maisa in the animal itself you could asa. You could asa. Now. Amalu Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman told Ula, "You're coming off from Eretz Yisrael and you're telling us this huge chiddush from Rabbi Yochanan. Poikai, go out v'amulei leUla. Go tell Ula kfar tigmer Rav Huna l'shmeitzach beBavel. Rav Huna, go ahead. He beat you to the punch in Bavel. Dam Rav Huna ha'isab hemis chaveru revutzav v'nei avodas kechavim. The animal your friend was what? It was there's a fancier word.
Frustrated?
Prostrated. Not a prostrate. Yeah, different here. Different Gemara. Since you go ahead and you shech one simin, you shech one simin, asra, it's asa. It's asa. Okay, so that's his tense, guys. So we have two terutzim, guys. Two terutzim. The guys outside. We have two terutzim. We have a problem. What's the case of oinus? You said oinus is what? Oinus is asa. It's a nevad. It becomes asa. What's the case? The case is that you're throwing it on your animal. You're being forced to throw it on your animal b'fe'asher. That's case number one. Chizkiah says no. Chizkiah says that what's the case? That you were forced to throw wine on your friend's animal. If you do a maisa, guys, in the animal, that's going to create what? That's going to create the issa. So I didn't get a chance to go through the Rambam. The Rambam, if any guy who's interested in this stuff, Periches Halacha Aleph. There's a nice Rambam, if we pass him like this or not. Machlokes Rambam and Ravid. But I didn't do enough research to speak it out. I just saw it. Okay. Now, Minon Lon the Asra. How do you know that what? If you do a Maisa, how do you know it's Asr? Ilem Mikahanim from the Kahanim, says Rashi, who are we talking about? Right? Says Rashi, Inema Mikahanim, Sha'ansum Malcha Yisrael Lasais Kaimrim Lavais Kachavim. The Malacha Yisrael, Malcha Yisrael, were they were Rishayim, beginning from Yeravam, and they forced these Kahanim, real Kahanim, to be priests for Avodah Zorah. Ksiv Vayikshur Elai L'Chayin Li. No longer could they be Kahanim for me. They lost their job. So what happened, guys? They were forced to do this Avodah Zarah. They did a Maisa, and now you see they're Asa. So what do you see? That if you're forced to in a Maisa, it becomes Asa. So if you're going to say what from the Kahanim, B'dil Mashani Kahanim Devei Deya Ninu, maybe they've been a Deya, and Rashi says Knasahu, they gave a Kanas, but an animal which does not have Das and is forced by wine being dumped on its head, maybe not Nevad, right? Maybe it's not Nevad. So you can't use that word from the Kahanim. Says the Gemara, Ve'ela, you know where you know it from? That again, why are we trying to make a proof, fellas? That if a mice is done, it becomes asa. Ve'ela me avnei mizbeach. You're going to say from the avanim of mizbeach. What happened to the avanim mizbeach? You go into the lishkas nashim. You see there's a lishkas, the northeast lishka based on Moikid, buried underneath. There was the mizbeach from the time of the Chashmonaim. You have the Chanukah story. They buried it. What happened? They went ahead. They did avoid the Zorah on the mizbeach. And you see that it's asa. Now they're not b'nei deya. They were forced. They're not b'nei deya. You see it's asa. Says the Gemara. Maybe we don't look at a papa. Maybe it's like a papa. Guys, the Gemara doesn't say any more than that. Oh, yeah, a papa we had. Ubo pritzim v'chalaluha. The pritzim came in. What did they do? And they profaned it. And what did we say happened? They came in. What did they do? They were machalo. Then it became hefker. And then what? And then so memela. That's why maybe that's no raya that it wasn't. It was theirs. They went ahead and they were machal their own. So this is not the raya. We need a raya out of a case where it's not yours. Be'ela mikalim, by the kalim of the Beis Hamikdash sheiznichem achas, that achas went ahead and defiled. That's kol kalim asher hizniach hamelach achas b'malchusay b'maloi heichenu v'ekdeshenu. I think that's the. I don't. These old Gemaras do not have that. Look him. Heichanu v'hikdashnu. That's the lashon. Heichanu v'hikdashnu. Now, what does it mean? Heichanu v'hikdashnu. What did that mean? V'amamar heichanu shegonzum. They hid them. V'hikdashnu shehidashnu acherim tachteihem. They went ahead what and made others in their place. Aiva ein adam oisad davar shein shaloi. Elakivim davar ma'isa. It's through. There's your raya. So the kalim, the Beis Hamikdash, that they went ahead and they hid them, they didn't use them anymore, and they had to replace them. So what do you see? If you do a Maisa, even though it's not yours, Geshmaka Raya, a very Geshmaka Raya. Hachanami Kimin Sha'asu Maisa here by the being forced in somebody else's cow or animal, Kimin Sha'asu Maisa, Asra becomes Asa Al Nevad. Okay, so that is, guys, is the sugi of Nevad, guys. You got it? That's the sugi. We're going to go on my so the sugi of Nevad. We have two drachim as we spoke out. Either your own animal with Feheshia or somebody else's animal and a Maisa was done with it, and you have your slave the Maisa, the Rayas from the Kelim Beis Hamikdash that was defiled by Achaz, and therefore his son Chizkiyahu, right? Chizkiyahu went ahead and took care of it. Kiyas Rav Dimi, Rabbi Yochanan. When Rav Dimi came up from Eretz Yisrael, he said in the Rabbi Yochanan, Afal Pisha Amru Amishtachavel Karka Olam Lo Asra. Guys, can you make a karka into Avodah Zarah? Why? Because it says Al Haharim V'lo Yaharim, Al Gavois V'lo Gavois. Good. Chafa Ba'Boiras Shichin Uma Arais. If you go ahead and you dig water cisterns, oval shaped, the long Asra, it's Asra for Avodah Zarah. Why? Because you did a Maisa. Ki Asra Shmuel Bar Yehudam Rabbi Yochanan. Afal Pisha Amru Mishtachvel L'Bali Chayim Lo Yasron. Even though Mishtachvel L'Bali Chayim, they're not Asa. What's the raya? What's the raya? Is the raya because Nevad is only Asa by what? By Hegdish. Ason Chalipin L'Avodas Kechavim Asron. If you make it Chalipin to Avodas Kechavim, it's Asa. So let's say Rashi tells us. Ba'avodas Kechavim Chalipin Hichlifon Ba'avodas Kechavim Shehaisaloi. They went ahead and they switched this animal for Avodah Zarah that he had. So what he had, this animal was exchanged for Avodah Zarah. That animal now becomes Asa. You didn't do a mice in the animal. There's no mice done in the animal, but you exchange the animal for Avodah Zarah, and now what? It becomes it becomes asa. Kiyasa Ravin, Amar Pliguba Rav Yishmael Rav Yosef Rabbanan, Chanama Chalipin Asurin, however, Chalifin Mutarim, so only stage 1 is asa, but stage 2 would be muta. V'chadam Rafilu Chalifin Nami Asurin, even Chalifin would also be asa. My Tamad the Maniyama Chalifin Asurin, what's the reason? Amakra, the pasuk says, Kamahu, and there'll be. I need psukim. I don't have the whole pasuk here. V'chisavi ha'eva el beisecha v'hayisa chayrim kamahu. That's the end of the pasuk.
No,
I got the wrong pasuk. Right. Okay, I got the wrong pasuk. What?
It's the right pasuk. The pasuk ends shaketz to shaksenu isaed to savenu kicherim.
Okay, kicherim. Okay, very good. So now, when it says v'hoisa chayim kamahu, kol sha'ata mahaya mimenu, anything that comes as a result of it, anything that's created as a result of it, harihi kamahu. So not only chalipin, but chalipin, and at saif, it would end. That's the one who says that. So he says v'hayisachem kamahu. The idach, the one who says chalipin is muta. Amakra who kicherim who v'lei chalipin dafka chalipin, but not chalipin. The idach, what does he do with the pasuk of what who? To remind arla v'klei kerem that the chalipin is muta. She'im machron, if you sell arla, which is asa bahana, or klei kerem, the kiddush, and you mekadesh an isha b'demehem, mikudeshes, she is what? She is mikudeshes. Okay, we'll come back to this, guys. We'll come back to this, okay? So now, we're playing the tennis game, right? What does this one do with this one? What does this one do with this one? This one do with this one, okay? So now, the idach, the one who uses the hu to teach me that chalipin is muta, where does he know arla from that you can kaddish nisha? V'idach olav klei kerem leit tzricha miyuta. You don't have a miyat. You know why? Because there's no limit for it. Fellas, there's no limit to teach me that it would be asli mekadosh nisha with the money of what? Of arla. In other words, you only need the Torah to tell me something's asa when you think it's muta. So if you're darshaning who to be mayit dafka chalipin by avodas kachavim, or dafka chalipin by avodas kachavim, but not by arla or by klei kerem, that's because you would think it's asa. The one who says who teaches me that chalipin is mutter, chalipin is mutter, he says there's no reason that you'd be asa. You know why? Because arla, because okay, guys, look at me. There's a big yesod. We're speaking this out a million times. The Torah is makatzer. If you want to teach me something, say it once and learn from that. The fact that it's repeated is to tell me you can't learn from that because it's limited to these two places. So now, we have two places. We have avodas kechavim. We have the case of avodah zarah and shmita. You know what they have in common, guys? Chalipin is asa. They're all asa. The kedusha is ongoing. If avodah zarah, the isser is ongoing, and shmita, if you go ahead and do business with shmita, it keeps on going down the line. Those two places, you have the problem of chalipin. You don't have the problem by any other suri hana. Memela, I don't need a pasuk to tell me the chalipin of arla is muta. I have no source to learn it out. I can't learn it out from avodah zarah and shvius because shnei kasum mecha im lamdin. So memela, I don't need who. Obviously, the one who learns out that you do need who, he says shnei kasum mecha im lamdin. Shlois im lamdin, but shnei lamdin. Okay, that's going to be the Gemara. Okay, so now it says the Gemara. The one who uses who does not use for chalipin, or lo klei kerem leitzricha miyuta. The habli abayis kachavim shviya shnei ksumah bayin keechad. The chol shnei ksumah bayin keechad ein malamdim. Avodas kechavim hodam moran. You just told us how you saw, right? That chayim kamahu. No. You learn it out from what? From yeah. For Yisuf chayim kamahu, right? For avaya, any avaya that comes out of that. Shvius dichsiv ki yovel hi kodesh tiyeh lachem. Lashon tiyeh, guys. Lashon of avaya. Ma kodesh teifeses damav v'aser ashvius teifeses nameh v'asura. In other words, each one is manifest itself. However, ima kodesh teifeses damav v'yatzel lechulin. If teifes demands the following, guys, if you pay the hegdish, the kedusha goes into, let's say, the coins, but the hegdish becomes mutta. Shemitah also. So what would you say? If you pay with the pay of shemitah, you can put into coins, right? Av shviyas tefes the mechav yatzil chulin. No, tamaloi mitiyeh b'avayaset tehei. So if you pay it's going to stay. Okay, tzad lokach b'pei shviyas basar elu ve'elu misbarim b'shviyas. In other words, you don't say that what the peiris loses its kedusha and it goes into what the basar. They're both kodesh. Lokach b'basar dagim. Then yatsa basar nichlas dagim. B'dagim yayin, yatsa dagim nichlas yayin. B'yayin shemen, yatsa yayin v'nichlas shemen. Haketzad, achren nifas b'shviyas. The last one is has tfusa kedusha shviyas. Upriyatzmei asa, and the initial pay is also asa. Good. The idach, the one who says you guys, the one who says you need who to be mamayet orlan klei akarem. Ksava shnei ksuma b'nkechem melamdin v'yitzrichu l'matinu. You need to do mamayet. Very geschmack. Shalu es asakain beroimi. Im ein ritzoynai avodas kechavim. Lama einim avatla. So now, probably the lashon of philosopher comes from this lashon, guys, of what was I jumped the gun. Excuse me. The Brisa calls it a philosopher. So some zakin in Rome said, if God wanted to go ahead and get rid of Avodah Zorah, why just get rid of it? So Amulem the Chum told him, Ilu l'davar shein tzarich lo'ilam boi. If it was something that the world did not need, hayovdim that they served, hayim avadloi. However, harihin oivdim l'chamu levana u'lekechavim mazalais. Yavadoi lama mifnei hashaitim. Their moon worshipers, their sun worshipers, their stargazers, whatever they are in. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to get rid of them? Just for what? Because of their shtus? So Amalahem in Cain, the Zakanim told the Chachamim, Yoiva davar shein tzarich lo'ilam boi, v'yiniach davar shein tzarich lo'ilam boi. Go ahead, so get rid of the stuff that's served that's not necessary, and leave the stuff that's served that is necessary. So Amalahem, af anu machzikim yedei avodaheim shel elu sh'oimrim teidu. You got a proof. Shein elahus sharihin lebatlu. Guys, let's say they serve the sun and the moon, and they serve root beer. I have no idea what came to my mind. Let's say they serve the sun and the moon, and they serve root beer. So they're going to get rid of root beer, yeah? They get rid of root beer. So what are they going to say? The raya that the sun and the moon stayed around, right? Kadosh Baruch Hu actually got rid of root beer. It's awful. What? Does anyone here like root beer?
Marks. BMW.
You're going to tell me you like cream soda soon. So always people like cream soda, weird guys. Right. Mountain Dew, you drink?
Communists, cream soda, communists.
Root beer and celery soda.
Nazis.
Notice Avrami Weinrib. I mentioned food. Avrami Weinrib woke up. Shkayach Avrami, 33 years. You finally said something. Very good. Okay, says the Gemara. Tan Rabbanan. Shalo philosophin esasakanim. Now, notice the lashon, guys. The change from the Mishnah to the Brisa. They don't call them sakanim. They call them philosophin, like philosopher. Beroimi. Imela kechem ein ritzoyim avodas kechavim feima einam avadla. Amalahem ilu davar shein olam tzarich lo hayavdim harum avadla. Harin avdim lecham levan lekechavim azales. Yavad olam fnei hashaitim ella olam kimin haga noyeg. This is the Brisa elaborating on the Mishnah. That what? Ella olam kimin haga noyeg. The world goes according to the way the world goes. V'shaitim shekilkul asidim litenis adin. And the people who serve Avodah Zarah, they're going to have to answer it. Lasalavai. Davar acher, harishagazel saw shel chitim, v'holach v'zara b'karka. Guy steals the saw of chitim, he plants it in the ground. Dinhu shalei tatzmiach, it shouldn't grow. After all, it's a stolen object. Why should it grow? El oilam kiminhagei noyeg, v'hoylech v'shaitim shekilkalu asidin adin. Right? In other words, it's going to grow because if you put seeds in the ground and you fertilize and you water it, it grows. That's what happens. And Hashem's not going to change the teva of the world. Oh, you stole it? You'll have to answer for it. But in other words, Hashem's not going to make you answer this by changing teva. He's not going to change teva. The next case is really a biggest raya. Aminas mizana ben reishis ish. Dinu shaloitis abesh. She shouldn't get pregnant. Allah oilam kimin hagay nayeg v'hoylech. Right? V'shoitim shel kilkalu asidim litinas adin. They're going to have to go ahead what and answer. V'hainu da'amar reish lakish amar kadosh baruch hu leidayin l'rishoyim. It's not enough that the rishoyim sha'oisim sela shali pumbi. Rashi roishim shali. My roishim shani roishim boy ubalaz kfin. Oisa hefker l'chol shakol roitz lachlein boy yachnem boy kloimar shaboyin ala erva al karchi umolidin. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who made the biological way of having children, and this is my chasima to have children in this way. And now what are you doing? You're causing me that what? It's one thing that you do it. Now, elashmatrichin I see, umechasimin I see, bal karchi, and now you right. You matriach that I should create a vlad against my will. I don't want this vlad in the world. Right? So umaylidim asher shagzeir lefana sheyinago elon kimin hagay. Umiboyle heicha itmad reish ubeiza mikro hudarish kabbalah zus hakadosh baruch hu kaibel akach ubetan chum darish me'oiser pasik sur yolet chateshi. Okay, so the bottom line is Hakadosh Baruch Hu is not changing the teva even if there's averis involved. Shol philosophe echad is Rabbi Gamliel. Chassid b'toy raschem ki Hashem lekechem eish oichlehu kel kana v'imam miskana bo ivdeha v'le'im miskana bo. Why Hakadosh Baruch Hu is miskana in the people who serve the Avodah Zorah, but he's not miskana what in the Avodah Zorah itself, right? He's not miskana in the Avodah Zorah itself, because they want to know why is that. So Amaloi, so Rabbi answered, Emshechol mashal. I'll give you a mashal. He's got one son. And this Ben had a pet dog. And he's called his father King. Right? He called the dog King. What? Yeah, so that's what he called him. And when he swears, he swears the name of the Kelev and with his father's name. Kishashama Melech al mihu kayes. Who does the Melech get angry at? Al benu kayes or al kelevu kayes? Havi oimer al benu kayes. So the same thing over here. You have a dog. The Avodah Zorah is a dog. You have the king. You serve the Avodah Zorah. He's going to angry the people who serve the kelev, who serve the dog. So I'm a light. So kelevat the kayresa. You call this Avodah Zorah kelev? Well, yesh by mamish. There's kayak to this kelev. So I'm a light. Umara Isa. Said Rabbi Gamliel, why did you see that you said this koyach teres avodah zarah? Samaloi pamachas nafla deleka bereinu. We had a fire in our city. And this is what kol ear. The whole city burnt down. Kula. The oisle based on avodas kachavim and this stuff. And that good punk, that house didn't burn. So Mamela, you see it as koyach. So Amaloi, Rabbi Gamliel answered this fellow that you know why it didn't burn? Emshel chemashal lema david daime lemelech basav adam. Medina. He has a melech basavadam that one of his medinas, one of his areas, they went ahead and they rebelled. The melech goes to war to quell the rebellion. Who does he go deal with? The chayim or the mason? He deals with the chayim. Same thing over here. He dealt with the house of the people who there's something to, and he left the house of Avodah Zarah, which is daimel mason. There's no reason to deal with it. So Amalei. So said the chacham to the chacham of the guy, Kelevat the Kairesa, Mesa the Kairesa. Boy, you're getting really. If you call him a dead dog, you call him a dog dead. Which in Cain, you have denim in oilam. Kadosh Baruch Hu should get rid of it. Amaloi ilu dava shein oilam tzarich loy hayavim hari mevatlef. If Taki would get rid of it. So, however, hari hayim oilam lecham levon lecham mazalos laafikim. Right? Ulagayos, the different agayos is the valleys. Yovel alama if they shaitim. The Chinuayim pasuk in Sfanya. Oisaf asif kol me'ai pnei adama no Hashem. Esaf is the lashon of destruction. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Bit me up." And Echre says, "Kol yesh tachas pnei adama." Should I go ahead and destroy everything in this world? Asif adam behema. Asif ad shemayim with the gayam. Should he go ahead and destroy everything? v'machsheles es rishayim, and lichrati es ha'odam me'al pnei adama, right? V'chim ifnei she'rishayim nichsholim behem yovdim min ha'olam. Just because the rishayim are nichshol in the world, Shakadosh Baruch Hu destroy the world, but adam heim oivrim, they serve even people. They serve people, so they go ahead and destroy the whole world and the people. That he's not going to do. Okay, guys, share is going to have to be tomorrow morning. It's going to have to be tomorrow.